UK-wide picture. This is with over 302 of the 382 results in. So as you get more results in, it's increasingly difficult to change this picture. And that shows out on 51.6% and in on 48.4%. Nigel Farage, the leader of UKIP, is talking about a new dawn for the United Kingdom. We also know, of course, that Scotland has voted in the other direction. Scotland is voting quite heavily to remain in the European Union. We haven't heard from the Prime Minister yet, or indeed from the main Conservative leaders of the exit campaign. But let's go to our political editor, Faisal Islam, who's beginning to get a sense of what's going to happen in the next few hours, Faisal.
Yes, Adam. Well, we've already seen that market response in the sterling markets, with sterling falling to a 31-year low. The immediate response, if the pattern that we're seeing persists, will be financial market stabilisation, because it has to be. The market started to price in a Remain victory, but that now doesn't look like the most likely option. There's still a number of big population centres to call, but they don't seem to be going for Remain in the numbers that are needed to make up that deficit that we see at the moment. But still, nobody's being certain, apart from at the UKIP party, where they think that they have won. And so the question really arises, how could this be carried out if it is carried out? And I understand that that is where Conservative rebels are most concerned. We've heard the Prime Minister suggest that if there is a Leave victory, he will go to Brussels, to the European Summit next week, and activate Article 50, which will start a 2-year process. Now, many Tory rebels would say he should not do that. So that will be the key tension point for the Prime Minister. If a Leave vote is confirmed, will he activate Article 50 at the European Council summit next week? Certainly one very key Brexiteer that I've been speaking to saying he just cannot. So that is where focus will be next week, European summit. If there's a Leave, Article 50, yes or no, Mr. Cameron?
Presumably we are going to hear from Mr. Cameron this morning, responding to the final result once it becomes clear. I should just mention that we've just had from the Electoral Commission an estimated turnout nationwide of 72.2% in this referendum, which is considerably larger than the 66% who voted in the general election last year. So big turnouts, and they appear to have favoured the Out campaign, although that result not yet confirmed, or even, I see, predicted by any of the news networks at the moment, all being extremely cautious. But as you can see on your screen now, more than 800,000 votes lead for Out. And Faisal, so just this has been a decision by the people. It's clearly been, if it is an Out vote, a absolutely historic one and a change of direction. But implementing it is back to the parliamentarians.
Absolutely. What is it that there is specifically a mandate for? Yes, for leaving the European Union, but is there a mandate to have some other form of trading arrangement? Is there a mandate, for example, for what some MPs believe, what some of the Leave supporters also believe, which is to rejoin the European Economic Area and therefore stay in the single market? Well, the Leave campaign were really clear about this, the top of the Leave campaign, that we were going to leave the single market too, so we could restrict freedom of movement. It seems unthinkable that if the Leave camp win, as seems to be the case right now, that you couldn't have some sort of restrictions over freedom of movement. But the flavour of Leave depends on Parliament, not just the House of Commons, also Lords. And we know that over 400 MPs did not back leaving. So it throws up quite an intriguing constitutional set of circumstances where various bills will have to be passed. Certainly the Leave campaign would at first want the European Communities Act to be rescinded. That seems to be their #1 demand. But that will all come out of the wash in the government if this does end up being the result. There's a lot more complexity to this than just flicking a switch and leaving. It could take many years indeed.
Faisal, we've now reached the point where Sky News is in a position to call this election. And Sky News is projecting that the UK has voted out. The UK electorate has taken the historic decision to withdraw from the European Union after more than 40 years of membership. The expert working out that projection is Professor Michael Thrasher of Plymouth University. Michael, this means you are certain that at the end of the night, when all the votes are counted, this is going to be a vote for out. How can you be certain?
Well, we're just looking at the results as they come in, and we just put in result after result after result. And the model just simply keeps on telling us that there is a lead for Leave over Remain. And given the results that are still to come, we just don't think that the gap can be bridged. Given the pattern of voting that we've seen in the authorities that have already declared, we just don't see any pattern emerging from those results still to come that can overtake the lead that Leave already has and will continue to build on the basis of the results still to come in.
And have you any idea of the final percentage margin?
Well, it's looking very much like in the region of 52 to 48%. And of course, if that's true, and the model is pretty stable at this point, that's a huge size of the proportion that's lost, and that throws up all kinds of issues in terms of it's a very, very close outcome, and all the arguments that will ensue in terms of why Remain has lost will obviously follow on from this.
And that would be, although 52-48 sounds close, I mean, as a margin, it would be, what, getting on for 1 million votes, something like that?
Indeed. So it depends on which way you look at it in terms of the gap in terms of votes or the gap in terms of percentage. But, you know, it really is a most remarkable result that at the beginning of the night we all thought that the Remain camp would eventually pull through. But those early results, which indicated Leave, at some points Leave had a very big lead indeed. At no point during the counts have we seen a lead for the Remain side.
It has to be said this is also a catastrophe for the opinion pollsters who've mucked up again. They mucked up in the election, they mucked up in this referendum.
Well, I think, Adam, they will, with some justification, argue, and this is the problem about a referendum, you either kind of get the result right. They would say they are within the margin of error, and if it is finally 52% for Leave, then polls that said it was 49 or 48, 49 for sure, is still within the margin of error. So doubtless there will be a further discussion about the polls and the accuracy of the polls, but I think rather the result will overshadow any autopsy re-examination of the polling companies.
Well, it has to be said that UKIP's private poll appears to have been more accurate than YouGov and Ipsos Mori, but there we see it on the screen. Thank you for that, Michael. Sky News is now projecting that the UK has voted to leave the European Union. And one of the key pieces of evidence came from Birmingham. Sky's Anna Botting is there. Anna.